is a presentation of the Match Talk Podcast Network. It's time for the ODU Wrestling Monarch Mattcast, a show dedicated to all things related to the Old Dominion Wrestling program. On the web at monarchmattcast.com. Now, here's your host, three-time National Wrestling Writer and Broadcaster of the Year, and 2004 ODU alumnus, Jason Bryant.
Episode 35 as we're entering Season 3 of the ODU Monarch Mattcast. Today, we'll be joined by Associate Head Coach Mike Dixon. We've got a big weekend coming up in Norfolk. I'm happy. I'm going to be there, Dixon. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be in the house. I'm going to be rooting for Old Dominion football on Saturday, and I'm going to be announcing for Old Dominion Wrestling on Sunday. And Mike, before we even talk about ODU Wrestling, how has the smile gone away from the Chicago Cubs World Series victory for you?
That was definitely one of the better weeks of my life. I could say that. It long time coming, and for many Cubs fans across the country. No, I'm still smiling to answer your question, but I was very pleased. I had a very late night for Game 7, so I was struggling the next morning in the office. But I made sure I stayed up to watch everything.
And that, how do you have that conversation with Coach Martin? Be like, Steve, I'm gonna be a little late tomorrow. Game 7 Cubs.
The original conversation was before they actually made the World Series. I told them, I said, if the Cubs make the World Series, I'm going to not be around for a couple of days. So he kind of gave me kind of a crazy look, like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the Cubs haven't been in the World Series since 1945, so I'm going. But I ended up not going. But I just basically told him, this is the Cubs. So he was actually very into it because Josh Demas was an Indians fan, so we kind of had a little back and forth going on in the office, and then Hutter was just kind of the outside looking in because he's a White Sox fan.
Yeah, because, the thing is, me and Hutter don't get along for that reason because that whole Angels-White Sox series a couple years ago, and we still haven't made amends over that one.
That's right.
I mean, considering how much Hutter talks, it's just nonstop. He just gets in your
He's a talkative boy.
Yeah. So as we talk about the actually one thing you brought up Josh Demas. We haven't had a chance to introduce him as part of the coaching staff and talk a little bit about Josh and his presence in the program and what you expect out of him and how much do you expect him to grow under yourself and Coach Martin.
Josh has been a great addition to the program. He's was on Ohio State's national championship team, and he was a key part to them winning a national title. And then he helped out. He was over at Rutgers last season. So he's been a key addition for us. He's a great guy to have in the room, especially for the middleweights. They have a coach that we can basically go all the way down from 133 all the way up to 197, wrestle pretty much just about anybody in the room. He keeps things very lighthearted around here. Basically, he's always trying to make sure guys have smiles on their faces. He's always cracking jokes. So he's actually very good to, have in the room. Guys enjoy being around him, and, you can see guys just always walking in, gravitating towards him in the office. So it's a good thing, and you want to make sure you have good balance on the staff, and he definitely helps balance the staff out.
Yeah, and that's one thing with wrestling. There's not that many Division I jobs that open up, and usually it's that volunteer or that number 2 assistant that rotates in. Alex Dolly had an opportunity to take a high school job at one of the most prestigious high schools in the state of Iowa in terms of tradition with Waterloo West. And then I actually saw him last weekend at the preseason nationals, and he wrestled at Northern Iowa. Opportunity for him to kind of go home a little bit, even though he's like you from Indiana. But we had Alex on staff. Now Josh is coming in, and from a coach, you did that coaching carousel for a little bit. What's it take to finally get settled and situated into a position?
Finding a school and administration, obviously a head coach that, they want to be successful. They want to win. They have the resources where they can make that happen. And then, like I said, you want to make sure the program you're affiliated with, you love coming to work every day. And, that's been the case for me for the past 11, 12 years. I love coming to work today. Working with Steve, you learn a lot. Steve's very, very intense, and obviously he's very passionate about the sport. He wants to be successful. And, on my end, I just try to keep up with it. And, fortunately, I've been here for the majority of Steve's time around here, and we've had some highs, we've had some lows, but hopefully they've been more ups than downs. And I think we're on our upward trend. We are happy with the team that we have. We love the team that we have, and I think come March, good things will happen. We're a little young, so with youth comes inexperience, and you kind of have to deal with that. And, this past weekend, some of the inexperience kind of showed a little bit, but it's just learning every week, trying to get better every week, and trying to test ourselves every week. So, like I said, I enjoy coming to work every day. I'm learning every day. And as long as that's happening, I think good things will happen with this program.
Talk about Alumni Weekend coming up. This is something that's been a tradition the last several years. I'm actually excited again because I get to come back home. Mainly, I get to introduce my youngest daughter to her grandparents and the other part of the family. So, but you notice how wrestling people just kind of always find a way to put wrestling around a trip. So I've got football. I got my one ODU game a year on the gridiron. Then I was like, all right, I got a mat. Okay, yep, home for wrestling. And then, oh yeah, here's that family stuff, because the Virginia Duels just doesn't, that's not conducive for family time, because that means my wife has to basically sit around with her in-laws for 3 days without seeing me. So this is a much better opportunity for her. But Alumni Weekend, we've got some details on it. Tailgate party will be at the Edge prior to kickoff. It's at the corner of 48th and Hampton Boulevard. And of course, I know exactly where that is in its various names over the years, that spot. But what are some other things we've got planned for Saturday as we lead into Alumni Weekend, the kickoff against Southern Miss at 3:30?
Well, you might have a plaque at the Edge. We'll
Actually, you know what? That's a question. Where is my plaque? Is it either at what used to be Old Batterson's, and then it was Crazy Charlie's, then it became the Edge. And then there was Chicho's next to it for a while. Then there was 44, which they tore down and built an arena, which I actually named in its place. So, yeah, I've got a plaque somewhere in that strip. I'm just not sure where it resides.
We will definitely have to make sure there's a plaque for you. But as far as Alumni Weekend, like you mentioned, we have a tailgate from about noon to 3:30 right up until kickoff. And that'll be at the Edge. And then basically ODU, the football team, who for the first time ever we can say is bowl eligible. So the bowl eligible football team will be hosting Southern Mississippi in the Conference USA football game that takes place at 3:30. And then starting the next day, starting at 11 a.m., we're going to have a pre-match social at the Edge again. And that's going to go right up until right match time. And the Edge is, a block or two from the Constant Center. And then obviously we wrestle Missouri, which is one of the top-ranked teams in the country. So we're looking for a good weekend. We will have a recognition ceremony at halftime for all alumni, and definitely the greatest voice in wrestling. We are excited to have him part of this big weekend, and we're hoping we can make some fans and some alumni proud this weekend.
Yeah. Who? Oh wait. Yeah, that's me. Sorry. just also break some news here on the show that I did get my invitation second year in a row to be the voice of Division I Nationals in St. Louis. So that's
congratulations.
Apparently, I didn't screw up. So I'm back in the St. Louis. It was really cool to see the ODU faithful in Madison Square Garden last year. But enough about me. I got bigger news later on down the line that we can. I don't know. Can I do a show all about me? No, I can't quite do that. I do that weekly on Short Time, but. As we talk about, let's talk a little bit about football, because, Bobby Wilder's been a supporter of the wrestling program. And, he's a guy that brings a lot of intensity to the sport of football. In the years you've been there, from start to finish, you've seen this football program built from scratch. What do you think it means for the university itself and, the other coaches, that coaching fraternity that's within college sports, to see a program come from nothing and say, all right, you know what, now we can go to a bowl game? I mean, how's that gonna rise and raise the excitement around campus?
Well, I think it's awesome. Obviously, when I first started here, there wasn't even a football program, and I started a football program, and it kind of gave alumni a reason to come back. And obviously, like you said, Coach Wilder had to start from scratch and build it up, and now they're part of a Division 1A, and bowl eligible for the first time. And it's neat to see other coaches when they have success with their teams, because sometimes you get so wrapped up in kind of your season and your kids and, what's next with your kids and recruiting and all that stuff that, you don't necessarily have time to see how some of the other sports are doing on campus. But it's obviously great to see when other sports are doing well, because we have a great staff here at ODU, and these coaches work hard. And like I said, they fell a little short last year to make the bowl game, but this year they've already got their sixth win, and I think they still have maybe 3 games left. And they got some winnable games down the stretch, so I know they're working hard to try and move up the list, and I know they're still competing for a conference championship. So our team's definitely supporting them, and hopefully we can get the same support back, once their season's done. But it's neat to see. It kind of helps us on the recruiting front too, because all the bowl games are going to be on television, so therefore it's going to help get our name out there. So, because sometimes we are at competitive disadvantage every now and then. I will have kids ask me about, do you guys have a football team? Are you Division 1A? But the more ODU and the more the name Old Dominion's out there, the better it is with recruits, because it makes it easier on our end in terms of I don't have to introduce the school. They kind of already know who it is. So, the football team's doing well, the basketball team's doing well. They get on TV. That kind of helps all your Olympic sports out.
And one thing is that email came through once bowl eligible hit. It's like, okay, I'm starting to look at the games that Conference USA is associated with. I'm like, I forwarded it to my wife. I think she was like, oh, congratulations, they're bowl eligible. I was like, my whole point was, look at these places. Where do you want to go? So
yeah, I think one was
the Bahamas Bowl, perhaps?
One in the Bahamas, one's in Hawaii. So yeah, they got some nice places. We need to wrestling needs to step up their game, and we need to have some dual meets in those places too. I'll take a dual meet in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I will take I think Jamaica just started a college wrestling team. It might be freestyle though.
I'm all for it.
As we move towards actually, you know what? I just got to make sure that the bowl game doesn't fall on top of the Midlands, and we'll talk about the schedule here in a little bit, because I've got the Midlands again this year with another former ODU assistant, Matt Storniolo, as a head coach there in Chicago. But as we get to the upcoming match against Missouri, we'll get to that in a moment, but talk a little bit about the Southeast Open this past weekend and what our lineup's going to look like in terms of Missouri and beyond. A lot of guys had opportunities to wrestle this weekend. What are your general takeaways from the Southeast Open? First, it's moved from Virginia Tech to now Roanoke as the Southeast Open. I think they've got some construction down there at Tech, but quality of competition, did Old Dominion get out of it what you were expecting to get out of it?
Yeah, I thought our kids competed hard. They competed well. Obviously as a coach, you're basically looking to critique, and it's the first weekend of the year, and you're just trying to see how kids compete after weigh-in. And, several guys had opportunities against nationally ranked guys, and, some had success. Some were kind of right in the match, and I think some after the match kind of turned around and believed in themselves, and it was kind of like, hey, I can compete with these people. So you're basically trying to build upon that performance and hope kids the next time they have an opportunity to go out and knock some of these nationally ranked guys off, that they can do those things. So I think overall it was a good experience. Obviously we do have things to work on, and that's what practice is for. And then, like I said, you get another test next week, and we got a tall test this Sunday. So we'll see if we've improved in practice, and if not, we'll go back to the drawing board.
One titleist came away with a championship at the Southeast Open. Kevin Beasley back in the lineup, coming off of that injury that he sustained during that Olympic redshirt year. Had to beat some nationally ranked guys to do it. I mean, how's Kevin looking, and what do you think his prospects are for the season?
Kevin's probably looked the best since I've ever seen him, and his confidence is high. He truly believes he can win a national title, and we believe that as well. He's moving well. He was attacking for 7 minutes every match, which that's a joy to see. And I think when the kid's on, I think he's very, very difficult to beat. And, he proved that this weekend. I think there was, 3-4 nationally ranked guys at his weight. So he won probably one of the tougher weight classes in the tournament to win the championship. So that was good to see. And, he's got another opportunity this weekend, and obviously see the defending national champ. So no better test than that.
Not just the defending national champ either. I mean, we can't just gloss over that whole Olympic bronze medal that Jaden Cox, Missouri, brings into the TED either.
Yeah. I mean, he's a tough kid. They've wrestled before, but I know Beasley's up for the challenge, and I know he's not going to back down. And on paper he may not be a favorite, but that's why they go out. That's why they go out and wrestle.
Another performance that we want to point out: Selden Wright finishing second at 165 pounds. Actually, was beating Chad Walsh of Ryder 4-1. Probably even should have been 6-1 with the takedown that wasn't called at the end of the first period. But Chad Walsh did Chad Walsh things. And, ultimately got the fall over Selden. But you saw that breakthrough win. You beat Austin Matthews of Edinburgh, who has had a solid career. Where is the improvement coming from Selden Wright? And where is it from now to the end of the season you're expecting? So, okay, you're not going to get caught in those situations that guys like that Walsh will throw at you.
Selden's a local kid, so, pretty much I see him every day. But he's made so many improvements, and I think this year the difference is he's taken it upon himself to fix his weaknesses, kind of be self-critical, and obviously come in on his own without the direction of a coach and kind of take care of his business on his own, to where he has that confidence where he knows when he steps on the mat that he's put in all the work and he deserves, what's getting ready to come to him. And, every time I, come into the office, I mean, half the time he beats me in, and I see him, either on the bike or treadmill, because conditioning was one of the issues in terms of he didn't believe in his conditioning last year. And now, I see 100% that he believes in his conditioning. Another one of his weaknesses last year was his mat wrestling. And, I kind of did a double take his first match this past weekend, because he actually turned somebody. And he'd been telling me all summer, I'm going to turn people this year. And, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, Selden means business this year. So, he went out and he dominated a lot of the competition. And like you said, he was a returning All-American. He was beating them, and I think he just kind of relaxed just a bit. And, so lesson learned, unfortunately, was the hard way, but he may get another couple opportunities at Walsh. I think we're at a couple of same events that they are, down the road. And I know he's kind of chomping at the bit to get another opportunity to see where he's improved from the next time they wrestle.
Yeah, but still, I was sitting there watching the match. I'm like, all right, oh, yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, Chad Walsh does Chad Walsh things. I mean, that whole family does those type of things. So it's not like it's, you don't hang your head in that situation right away. You're like, man, but next time what to prepare for, in theory.
In theory, but like I said, with the Walsh brothers, they're very, very difficult. And I mean, the lesson is you just have to wrestle for 7 minutes, because they're dangerous. They're always in a match, no matter how big your lead is. And I mean, like I said, he's a returning All-American, so those kids are tough outs just to begin with. So I think Selden learned that lesson, like I said, unfortunately the hard way. But I know next time he will be prepared, and we'll see what happens next time.
Will Hilliard wrestled the freshman-sophomore division, took second, and one of the three Monarch heavyweights. That as a true freshman at this weight class, getting wins, getting confidence is important. Is that what factored into having him down in the freshman-sophomore division?
Yeah, that was part of the decision. The other part was we want to make sure he was kind of focusing on things that he needed to focus on. We kind of felt as a staff, if we put him in the open division, he'd be a little bit more focused on wins and losses. So we want to make sure we wanted to make sure he's focused on leg attacks, and what his strengths were, and we were pleased to see he was getting takedowns. I think in the finals match, he kind of, some things didn't go his way early, and he kind of let the ref get into his head a little bit. So, he's trying to fight his opponent and the official instead of just focusing on the match. And obviously that's things we've talked about. That's things we've already worked on. And I think his head's on straight. And like I said, what I liked is he's a competitor, and he does not like to lose. So I do like that. And obviously when you get a kid like that, that's something you can build on. So, he's excited for this upcoming weekend. And like I said, it's just all about improving. But he's pretty young right now, and we're just trying to get him experience and obviously as many matches as we can with him so he can be ready come March.
A couple other place winners, Alex Madrigal at 133, Jack Deco at 184. And the Deco thing, the best you can take after an early loss is fifth. And, watching the match, he got power halved and turned and pinned early. And this is something that, as a returning All-American, as a staff, you're like, okay, what happened? What can we fix? What's the deal there?
I think it's just a situation where, maybe he wasn't in terms of quite prepared for, the guy in this power half. But like I said, better to catch those situations early versus that happen in March. So, we try as a staff to talk to our guys that every opportunity is a learning opportunity. And I know Jack's got a great head on his shoulders, and, he got back into the gym immediately and went back to work. And I know he's improving on those situations. And, basically Jack is very, very resilient. And, I know Princeton, I believe they're at Midlands as well. So he may have another opportunity to see that kid again. And, I know Jack will be ready, but, it's just making sure we fine tune everything. And sometimes we just have to remind a kid like Jack that, March is the important thing, and let's just go out. Let's just have some fun. Everything is not necessarily going to go your way, but, always be ready to bounce back. And, he's a great leader on the team, and that's important to show the other kids on our team that here's how you bounce back after a loss. Yeah, my goal was, to win this tournament, but that didn't happen, but I'm going to bounce back, wrestle hard. In the wrestle back, I think he had to wrestle a kid from Army. He was a returning national qualifier. So it's not like he had a bunch of easy outs on the backside. So he was pretty resilient, ended up taking fifth, and it's just a learning process. But he's a competitor, and he always wants to win.
Now, Alex, also a new weight class, kind of was brought in to be a 25-pounder, kind of grew out of the weight class. And, right there with Jamal Morris, who was a national ranked guy, had some good wins last year. Was that one of those kids you're kind of alluding to that came off the mat and realized that they can compete with these guys at this level?
Yeah, and Alex has a relentless work ethic. He's always had that. I don't even know if he got that from high school, or he might have already had that. But he's a kid. He's a gym rat. He's always in here. You walk in, he's the first guy into practice. He's the last one to leave. You talk about those types of kids, but he's truly one of those types of kids. I mean, he'll come in here 3-4 different times a day. I can remember distinctly last year, there was a couple times we had to kind of say, take a break. Madrigal, take a break, get out of here, But, he loves wrestling. He loves the sport. He loves studying the sport. And I think just as the kid gets more and more experience, I think his just wrestling knowledge is going to grow. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people this year. And he's a kid. He stays hungry. He's never won a state title. So, he's looking to be the guy that, ends up on top at the end of the year. And he's never had that opportunity yet. And in terms of name recognition, he might be a little under the radar just because his brother's got the, big name versus him. But, he's a kid that he's going to do great things throughout his career here at Old Dominion.
As we shift gears and we'll head to the matchup with Missouri again, coming at 1:00 at the TED. Missouri coming in ranked number 5 in the nation. It's just one thing with the MAC. Once Missouri came in, once Old Dominion came in, they're top 5, top 10 teams coming into the Constant Center. So wrestling fans, get out there and check it out. But just to run through the lineup, Missouri with 8 ranked wrestlers. This is probably one of the toughest. This is a tough out for any team. But coming in there, you've got 8 national ranked guys. You've got an Olympic medalist here. You got some national champions, All-Americans throughout the lineup. What do you as a staff say going into a duel when you're not favored in more than half of the weight classes?
Yeah, we discussed it briefly on Monday, just in terms of the type of team that's coming in, and obviously on paper, we're probably not favored in a whole lot of matches, to be honest with you. But like I said, we feel confident in our guys, and if our guys wrestle hard for 7 minutes, I believe a lot of good things are going to happen. Our guys have trained hard this preseason. We've had a very, very tough preseason to prepare for moments just like this, and this is a great opportunity for some guys to come out and make a name for themselves. You got goals of being a national champ. Well, you got to go out and beat those people. Like I said, Beasley, he wants to win a title. Well, you got to beat the champ to go do that. So he's got a great opportunity to go ahead and do that. Several other guys, you got a lot of returning All-Americans. They got a lot of guys ranked in the top 10. In their respective weight classes. And, our guys, here's your opportunity. You're going to get several throughout the season. This is the first of many. But they can start their season out right, but obviously making a name for themselves. But we basically want our guys just focusing on their offense, wrestling hard for 7 minutes, and what happens at the end happens at the end. But we feel with our training and our preparation that good things will happen at the end.
Yeah, 125, we're seeing either Brandon Jeske or Steve Simpson get the call against Barlow McGee, who just came off a loss to Nathan Kreiser of Campbell at the All-Star Classic. 133, Alex Madrigal and Jaden Ironman, both redshirt freshmen. Ironman, definitely one of those national freshmen to watch. That's going to be, I think that's an underrated matchup on paper that people will probably like to see. Matt Manley at Missouri coming off a subpar, injury-riddled postseason. He did have a win over Chris McCarty last year, but he's back in the lineup. And at 141, could see Emilio Saavedra moving up. Keenan Carter, Illinois kid, wrestled tough this past weekend. First three weights, what are the prospectus here?
Like I said, we like our chances with all three of them. B.J. McGee, obviously, he's wrestled us before. I think him and Brandon, I believe they've gone back and forth, but Brandon knows him well, and if Simpson gets the call, Simpson is he's a tough kid. He's wrestled in a bunch of tournaments. He's had a lot of success at tournaments last year. He was wrestling well, and kind of hit a couple snags this past weekend. But we think Simpson's another one of our freshmen that when given the opportunity, he's going to open some eyes and do a lot of good things. We've kind of already talked about Madrigal. He's a gym rat. He wrestles at a hard pace. So anybody he wrestles, they're going to remember who Madrigal is by the time the 7 minutes are over, whether he wins or loses. So that's good. 41, obviously Saavedra is a Midlands champ last year. And we got Keenan Carter, who he's actually dropping down a weight class from where he was last year as a redshirt. And he's a kid. He's been doing the right things on and off the mat, and obviously he's had some opportunities to do some good things. But like I said, whoever gets the call there, we're looking for them to step in and obviously compete at a high level. And we'll see what can happen. And hopefully we have a good crowd, so our crowd can get behind us. Because like I said, Missouri, they're top 5 in the country, and we're going to need all the support we can get.
Moving into 149, I just realized as I was looking at it and all the reference from the Cleveland Indians, I just can't help but have Lou Brown from Major League going through my head because we got Mays and Hayes at 149.
Yeah, Hayes is he's moved up a couple weight classes from last year, so we think that's going to help him in terms of competition. So he's more focused on his technique and just wrestling at a higher pace versus focusing on his weight, but. Hayes had a very good and productive summer with us, and he had some success. He beat some kids at university duels in the spring, so that was nice to see. And I think once Hayes gets some confidence, I think the sky's the limit with him. So we're kind of looking for that. And again, all he needs to do is knock off one good kid, and I think the kid's going to explode and do a lot of good things.
He also went to the Kyle Hutter School of Off-Season Eating, I understand.
Well, Hayes is a pretty lean kid, but, he likes to put down some food, too.
Moving to 157, Shane Jones has kind of emerged as a starter here. He's going to have Joey LaValle. Not a whole lot of people know about Shane Jones coming from Pennsylvania.
Shane Jones. Now, Alex Madrigal works hard, but Shane Jones might be the hardest worker I've ever met in my life. I could just remember last year after a stadium workout, most kids are showering and talking about how tough a workout is, an ice bath, and then they're talking about, they're done for the day. And Shane Jones, an hour later, I hear music in the wrestling room. I pop in, and Shane Jones is shadow wrestling and doing all kinds of drills on the Atom Dummy. An hour after, a stadium workout. I'm like, this kid's nuts, and I mean, literally, he is, between him and Madrigal, I don't know who leaves last, but the kid has made tremendous strides since he's been here. He's earned his spot on the team, and like I said, I think a lot of good things are going to happen with him. He almost beat a national ranked guy this past weekend. So he's somebody that I think he'll be a staple in our lineup for a long, long time, and we're going to expect good things from him. And he's going to be one of those kids that nobody knows who he is, but they're going to know come March who he is.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about Selden Wright. Another big one coming up with Daniel Lewis, All-American from Missouri. And this is a matchup where we're going to see real quick how Selden's worked on that bottom work because Daniel Lewis is one of the best guys in the country on top.
Yeah. Selden, one of the things in the offseason when we talked in the spring was he knew mat work was important. We've done that. He's going to be able to hand fight. We're pretty confident with Selden on his feet. He's had the ability where we feel he can take anybody down the country. But the difference with some of those elite guys is obviously you got to be able to ride them, and you got to be able to return them when they come to their feet. Those are issues that we had last year that you could definitely see improvement this past weekend, and obviously he's going to have a tall task this weekend. But he's Russell Lewis before, and he knows he can compete with him. Obviously, he's got to go out and prove it, though. That he's just as good as Lewis is, and we're very, very confident in Selden, and I think that's going to be one of the better matchups this weekend.
174, a couple freshmen, redshirt freshman Dylan Wisman, a Virginia native, will get the call from Missouri at 174. True freshman Antonio Agee, 174 for the Monarchs. And two Virginia guys, there's got to be some familiarity there. I mean, when you got a true freshman going against the guy he's probably wrestled before back at the high school level, what goes through the head?
We just want to make sure Antonio's focused on, obviously, his wrestling and not going back to, I believe they wrestled a couple times previously in high school. Wisman's a year older, and he did get the better of AG in high school, but obviously AG's been with us a lot during the summer and obviously here early. He's a big, strong kid, and we're expecting a lot of good things throughout the season from AG, but obviously first time in a dual meet. Whether or not he has jitters, not quite sure, but we did at least get the first event out of the way where he's got a tournament. He kind of has some experience now. He understands how a college match goes, and like I said, he's got a lot of tough workout partners in the room. And the one thing I can say is the kid always he wants to be good. Yesterday we kind of had to. I think the kid worked out for 3 hours straight yesterday, so finally we kind of had to say, I think we're good with the workout. You might want to take it easy now. So. The kid loves to compete. I do know that. So, we're expecting a lot of good things from him, and we'll see what happens.
A couple All-Americans at 184, Willie Miklas in Missouri and Jack Decco. These two have gone back and forth in their career. And we've got national-ranked matchups for the next two weights with Beasley and Jaden Cox. Those two weights, I mean, depending on whether the duel is in the balance or not, what's the mindset that you tell these guys as they go out? Obviously, you've kind of touched on it with Beasley already, that he's got to go through the champ to beat the champ. And Decco, senior year, last chance. This is a guy he's beaten before, but a guy who's hit the podium twice already in his career.
Right. And like I said, him and Miklas have gone back and forth. With Jack, the biggest thing is just go out, have fun, wrestle your style. We don't want our kids to focus too much on wins and losses. Because sometimes that's just going to put unnecessary due pressure on yourself. You get tight, and that's how matches end up going not the way you want them to. Jack's very familiar with his opponent. We just want Jack to be in that groove, feeling good. One thing I do know is our kids like wrestling in front of our fans. They like wrestling at home, so it's always an advantage when you wake up in your own bed, you have your familiarity, you can have your same normal routine. So that's one thing we're excited about. We get the opportunity to have Missouri here, and we're not doing the traveling. So I think that's a good thing. Hopefully, come match time, that'll be an advantage to us. But obviously, we'll see. And obviously, we kind of talked earlier, Beasley's got a great opportunity in front of him, and I know his confidence is high now. He wants to win a national title. He believes he's right there with those guys. I believe he can beat anybody in the country, especially the way he started off this season where he's wrestling. I think we're going to have a great season out of Beasley and Jack. So I think up and down this lineup, this whole team, by the end of the year, I think a lot of people are going to know who this team is.
And heavyweight got a couple bodies to choose from to take on Austin Myers, a transfer from West Virginia, Kentucky native, big kid. Going to be wrestling for Missouri, and it says Will Hilliard emerged as the guy at this weight class.
Yeah, Will, he's been wrestling a long time. He's very, very competitive. He started out the tournament last week. Made it to the finals, and like I said, one of the things I think we've been working on this week is sometimes the strategy that's involved with college wrestling, where probably in his finals match we could have used a little bit more strategy with it. Not overthinking, but just kind of understanding and being aware of what's open for you, what's not open for you, and just kind of understanding here are my strengths and make sure the match is guided to where we're wrestling in my strengths versus kind of opening things up and allowing the guy to kind of take the match in kind of his direction, his strengths. But I'm excited to see how he's going to come back from this week, and hopefully some good things happen. Like you said, the Myers kid, he's a big, strong kid. I've watched him wrestle a few times through high school. I haven't seen him too much in college. But, you know, I mean, I know he's going to be a tough, strong kid. And, you know, Hilliard is a kid. He hits the weight room hard. You know, he loves actually going to the weight room in tank tops and tell me how big he's gotten. So I'm he will have a tough test in terms of, you know, the kid this weekend, and we'll see how he does.
Now, for those who are interested in coming to the Alumni Duel, where if they've still got an opportunity to do that, how can they get in touch with you and ticket prices and things of that nature?
Yeah, obviously you can go to whynottix.com and go to ODU Athletics, and you can pick up tickets there. If you're an ODU alumni, you can RSVP. We have the code on our website. But if you have any questions, you can just give me a call or shoot me an email. I'll be happy to send out the link for alumni to RSVP. Like I said, the alumni, they get in free for the alumni match, but everybody else, you will have to have a ticket. But, you know, we're generating some buzz around campus, and, you know, we're looking for a big crowd, and we're going to need some help to knock off our top-ranked team. So, like I said, it's a great November so far for us, and we're hoping for some good things to happen.
Show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.